We should never have a criminal in the White House. I will vote for President Trump, even if he is in jail.
Congressman, I'm just going to start with this. Marjorie Taylor Greene, she leads Kevin McCarthy around by the nose. We get that and understand it. Just from a practical, functional matter, how hard is it to set up an impeachment hearing?
Yeah, well, I mean, look, Marjorie Taylor Greene, who came out just the other day and said that she's recommending some states start seceding from the union. So, when she starts her new country, she can be in charge of impeachment.
Got him. We fucking got him.
And the really funny part is that that's actually dim in comparison to what her fellow Republicans are saying about her.
If you want to understand just how ridiculous and cynical this impeachment attempt is, let me introduce you to Republican Congressman Ken Buck of Colorado.
So George, when I was teaching law school, I learned and taught certain constitutional principles. When Marjorie Taylor Greene was teaching CrossFit, she learned a whole different set of values, evidently.
Damn! Yesterday, as elected officials shared sentiments of unity in memory of 9/11, Marjorie Taylor Greene thought it would be the best time to go full Confederacy and call on states to, quote, consider seceding from the Union. To no surprise, this came after a well-done steak and ketchup luncheon with her favorite cult leader.
McCarthy's real boss, Marjorie Taylor Greene, is leading the charge, saying she won't support any measure to fund the government until the House votes to begin an impeachment inquiry.
That's why today I am directing our House committee to open a formal impeachment inquiry into President Joe Biden.
Marge's calls for this and impeachment have been met with scrutiny, not just from Democrats like Jared Moskowitz here, as he outlined just how ridiculous these claims are on MSNBC.
Congressman, I'm just going to start with this. Marjorie Taylor Greene, she leads Kevin McCarthy around by the nose. We get that and understand it. Just from a practical, functional matter, how hard is it to set up an impeachment hearing? Like, this seems like a lot of legislative moving and shaking that would need to be done to even set this up, even though we know it's bogus to begin with.
Yeah, well, I mean, look, Marjorie Taylor Greene, who came out just the other day and said that she's recommending some states start seceding from the union. So, when she starts her new country, she can be in charge of impeachment in that new place. But it's fascinating, right? Right, Jason? We're watching Freedom Caucus members fight amongst themselves over Joe Biden impeachment. I mean, I didn't have that on my bingo card, that Joe Biden's impeachment would be dividing the Republican Party, but it's exactly where the status of the House Republicans are right now. They have no direction. They don't know whether they want to fund the government. They don't know whether they want to impeach the president. And to be quite honest, I'm starting to feel bad for James Comer. These hearings have had, low T and, are just not connecting with the American people because they're just throwing darts at the board. And again, now you got Freedom Caucus members admitting no evidence on Joe Biden. I mean, that's the bumper sticker right there.
But also from fellow Republicans, none more so than Colorado's Ken Buck, who on numerous occasions has pulled no punches in regards to the Georgia conspiracy peddler.
So Buck is hardly a liberal, though he's not always in lockstep with the extremists in his own party either. And here is what Ken Buck had to say about the push by some of his Republican colleagues, including Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene, to impeach President Biden.
The time for impeachment is the time when there's evidence linking President Biden, if there's evidence linking President Biden to a high crime or misdemeanor. That doesn't exist right now, and it isn't really something that we can say, well, in February we're going to do this. It's based on the facts. You go where the facts take you.
Even the no high heels guy thinks impeaching Biden is the wrong move. And over on the Senate side, there is not much enthusiasm either. Republican Senators Shelley Moore Capito, Mitt Romney, Jerry Moran, Mike Rounds, Mitch McConnell, and even the extremely MAGA Tommy Tuberville have all thrown water on the idea of impeaching Biden before the 2024 election.
Not that we needed more reference to the difference between both parties, but when people like Marge call for the seceding of the Union under the pretense of patriotism, I find it ironic because you probably couldn't find a more treasonous act.
The last thing I ever want to see in America is a civil war. No one wants that. At least everyone I know would never want that. But it's going that direction, and we have to do something about it.
But it's no surprise, considering those who are spearheading the efforts to whitewash history are overlooking the last time that states tried to secede from the Union.
Well, Marjorie Taylor Greene is still in our lives and providing her unique brand of national embarrassment and tomfoolery. Well, those comments double down on her call for secession, made on President's Day, no less, when she tweeted, quote, "We need a national divorce. We need to separate by red states and blue states and shrink the federal government." Not the risk of taking Marge seriously, which is always a potential intellectual hazard. Let's just play this out for just a hot minute, shall we? First of all, the last time Southerners like Marge proposed a national divorce, it was because they were holding 4 million African Americans hostage as slaves, and they didn't want to let them go. Today, roughly half of African Americans still live in the 11 Southern states that comprise the Confederacy, and so if this national divorce happens, they would be trapped in an apartheid hellscape of a new country with zero health care, crappy public schools, barely a right to vote, and a full return to ownership by someone else of their bodies. Except this time, it wouldn't just be black women, it would be all women.
I mean, after all, here's the PragerU version of those events that these same people want played in schools.
It was a little awkward. I was a bit of a mess, but I did try to be accommodating, not demanding. Lee was a good man. We had fought together in the Mexican-American War, but this time we were just caught on the opposite side of things.
It's ridiculous, it's a waste of time, and Americans don't care.
As we go through watching this scam impeachment trial where you know what really is on trial, everyone, it's freedom of speech. They don't want you to have your freedom of speech. They want to cancel you out because it's your speech that's the greatest threat to them, just like my speech is the greatest threat to them, just like President Trump's speech is the greatest threat to them. That is what is on trial this week in the Senate.
You know, they've been talking about it. They've spent all tens of millions of dollars, I'm sure, of taxpayer money running all these investigations that have proven nothing. And by the way, if the polling showed that the American people wanted Joe Biden impeached, okay, you can be sure Republicans would have launched this inquiry already. But as soon as these articles got filed, they buried them in committee. They buried them in Homeland Security. They didn't want to talk about it. You got Republican members, moderate members, Freedom Caucus members coming out trying to delay impeachment. That tells me they know this is not good for them if they want to hold on to the majority in the House. And so, you know, it's fascinating to watch from a political science standpoint, but it's horrible if you're trying to keep the government open and get us funded so that, you know, we can keep the economy going and you know, and make sure that the American people have a good place to work and good jobs and all of that jazz. I mean, this is what the House Republicans said that they were going to do when they got power. Oh, when you finally give us power, we're going to show you what we can do with the House. And meanwhile, they haven't passed a single piece of substantive legislation to help the American people, not like the infrastructure bill, not like the Chips and Science Act, not like the the Inflation Reduction Act, nothing.
Hey, Meidas Mighty, love this report? Continue the conversation by following us on Instagram @MeidasTouch to keep up with the most important news of the day. What are you waiting for? Follow us now.